Hey everybody, Pat Huntoon here with Technique Junkies, and today we're making the colorful Life is Canvas card that you saw in the beginning of this tutorial. So let me show you what we're doing. We are using the S1004 painted background as the background of this card, and we'll be adding 3 colors to that. We're also using the SD1256 paint splashes that you see here. And then we're using the PD004 Life is a Canvas, and it says life is a great big canvas and you should throw all the paint on it you can. So we're going to be using those 3 stamps as our stamps. We will be using Sea Glass Catherine Pooler ink, Sangria Catherine Pooler ink, and Queen for a Day Catherine Pooler ink, and 2 matching markers. To start this card, I am going to be using the Catherine Pooler ink, Queen for a Day, and I am actually starting by stamping the Life is a Canvas, and I'm just putting this in my MISTI and stamping this. I'm using a piece of paper that's about 2.5 by 4, and I'll be cutting that down. I'll actually be cutting it down quite a bit. This was a 1/4 of a sheet of paper, these 2 pieces together, so I used half of the 1/4 for this, and this will be the background for this that we're going to create with color. Okay, so now I've cut the Life is a Great Big Canvas, and you should throw all the paint on it you can down to size. And I've created a background cardstock that's just slightly larger. You don't want too much room around it, but you do want to layer this with a piece that matches. So I am taking this scrap paper here and my Sangria Catherine Pooler ink, and I'm just going to create a very quick border around the edge, and very little of this is going to show. Very, very little, even less than that. So you really don't have to add too much ink. One of my favorite things to do with the Catherine Pooler inks is to create deep colored layers like that. You don't have to buy custom cardstock. You will always match. So eventually this will go on top of this and create a perfect layer. So while this piece dries, I'm just going to very quickly take a couple of matching or complementary markers. This blue-green marker here. Next, we're going to be doing the major piece here, which is the background. So I am taking a piece of 4 1/4 by 5.5 cardstock, and I'm actually going to be using pixie dots to hold this down to the paper, so I know exactly where it is and I don't move it around too much, because I would like to move this up just a tiny, tiny bit. I'm going to probably cut this paper down anyways, but just want to hold it nice and firm there. And then I'm going to be taking my MISTI and taking the 3 colors I have here. Sea Glass first, and what I'm doing with the Sea Glass is I am doing this portion right here, and I'm just running this right over the top, and maybe a little bit right here in the center of that area there. And then I'm going to be taking the purple, the Queen for a Day, and running that, I think here. I'm just going direct. I'm trying to miss the color overlapping too much, but if it does, it is paint, and it's supposed to be beautiful and colorful, so that's okay. You just want to make sure that you get all of the stamp itself done. And then finally, I'm going to take the Sangria color, and I'm going to do the parts I didn't do, which is the center part right here. Technically, you should go lightest to darkest. I guess the purple, the Queen for a Day, is probably technically the darkest. So I messed that up just a little bit, but not too horribly. Okay, so once you get those 3 colors on there, just go ahead and, everything's coming off here. Go ahead and stamp that and press nice and firm, because that's been sitting on the stamp for a few minutes. That color's been sitting on the stamp for a few minutes. I'm going to give it a good chance to soak in there. Oh, look at that. I have some orange on my MISTI before I put that stamp on there. I'm going to have to clean that off. Sorry about that. Real stamping going on here. Get that nice and firm and lift it. And if you really didn't like it, you could go back and do it again. I missed this corner a little bit, so I'm just going to push that down some more and make sure I get ink all the way to the corner. You leave this right in your mist because it holds the paper nice and firm. Then I'm going to take this Life is a Great Big Canvas piece and put it down in approximately the center of this, keeping in mind that I'm going to cut this down a little bit. So I went to put it in the center, and then I'm going to put a magnet on this to hold it into place, because I'm going to take the little paint splashes and I'm going to splash colors on here. Splash in parentheses, I mean. So I'm starting with one of the paint splashes, the middle size, and I am going to, I'm actually gonna move this. I said I was gonna keep it in place, but it's kind of in my way. I'm just going to move it over a little bit. But keep that in place. I want to make sure that's in the middle. And I'm going to take this paint splash and I'm going to be on the paper and on the center when I put this splash down. So I'm just going to put the splash, I'm overlapping them like that. And then I'm going to take this one off and swap out one of the other paint splashes. And this time, and you notice I used the Queen for a Day on the sangria. I'm using the sangria on the green. So I'm going to put some here. And I'm going right off the edge with these. I might add a little of that here also. And I have to move this because I did that. 2 splashes on that one. Remember that they're splashes, they don't need to be perfect. And saying that, I keep going over this, but it's okay. And then finally, I'm going to go back to that first splash again, and I'm going to take the sea glass color, and I'm going to be putting it, I'm centering mine around the words here, right there. Usually I only use 3. This time I use 4. It's you know, the rule of 3s is probably generally better, but this time I use 4. And then just make sure you don't have any ink on your hands when you go to the next step. I'm going to go wash mine and come back and put this together for you. Okay, so you're going to cut this down and then adhere this to a background cardstock piece. So I made when I cut my piece down, I cut it down so that I had an 1/8 of an inch border on each side. I cut it down to 4 to 5 1/4 because I wanted the white space behind it. There's so much color going on here. I thought I needed it. Also, when you put this down, make sure that you put down the matching purple to purple, blue to blue, green to green. I originally, the first time I did this, I actually put it on upside down and I had to redo everything, taking it off and whatever. So just be aware of that. And then you're going to add adhesive to this piece and put this on here. But I really want the continuation of each of these particular paint splotches to really be the focal point here. So I am going to add adhesive here and then line these up. And they should line up perfectly because I had it in place when I did it. And it also has a border on it. So even if there's a little fudge room there, I can place this down. And there you go. We have Life is a Great Big Canvas, and we have the paint splotches that look like they were painted but missed that border. And just to give it a little more creativity. So that is our tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give me a thumbs up on YouTube and consider subscribing to the Technique Junkies channel. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye now.